Introducing Unify Enterprise, a revolutionary class of unified technology purpose-built for the most demanding networks in the IT industry. So what exactly is revolutionary? Instead of traditional box making, we've taken a considered ground-up approach to product design, establishing new benchmarks in both price to performance and build quality never before seen in enterprise networking. Second, we've eliminated the aggressive IT hardware licensing fee model, another first for an enterprise-class solution. Once you buy Unify Enterprise products, they are yours forever, with no strings attached. Finally, and simply put, our software and support saves time and headaches. With Unify's industry-leading admin interface, getting up to speed is a breeze, and we are continuously enhancing our design tools, dedicated pre-sales team, and 24/7 phone support offerings backed by enterprise network engineers to provide a seamless deployment experience. Today, we are proud to announce the first of many Unify Enterprise products arriving this year, the Enterprise Fortress Gateway, or EFG. This next-gen gateway boasts an impressive suite of routing and cybersecurity capabilities, including SD-WAN, access control lists, Layer 7 application filtering, deep packet inspection, intrusion prevention with enhanced threat signature updates for robust protection, and comprehensive logging. Slick high availability features, including redundant hot swappable power supplies and shadow mode automatic gateway failover with VRRP, ensure perfect uptime without any admin intervention. EFG routes traffic at up to 25 gigabits per second and delivers over 12 gigabits per second of performance, even while running intrusion prevention and deep packet inspection services. EFG also introduces Unify's new Next AI engine, which inspects encrypted packets in real time to supercharge network security with increased IPS and content filtering precision, improved traffic identification, and access to internal payload details such as search history. So just how good is EFG's hardware value? It's disruptively better than anything in its class, especially when accounting for licensing costs. And that's not all. Our Next AI SSL inspection capabilities are also completely free, unlike nearly every other vendor that charges additional recurring fees. Now let's talk about our software value. Defending against cyber threats typically involves compromises, with a strong security posture requiring significant investment in education, dedicated human resources, and often sacrifices in the user experience. Let's look at how we simplify setup and ensure a great user experience with an example from the education industry, specifically a computer lab. Next AI can be easily activated to decrypt search engine traffic, only from key applications such as Google Search or ChatGPT. Once certificates are administered to each computer, search engine queries are magically revealed, enabling the creation of custom alerts to flag any safety and security concerns detected in this traffic. Want to learn more about EFG and our new Unify Enterprise Partner Program for IT MSPs and integrators? Reach out to us at enterprise.ui.com. Ubiquity, rethinking IT. Introducing Unify Enterprise, a revolutionary class of unified technology purpose-built for the most demanding networks in.
Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to our first ever webinar for EFG, and this is the first session for Singapore and ASEAN. All right, and with me tonight, I have actually invited Timothy, and Timothy is also with me, and we can see Timothy here.
All right, we're going to switch the camera over to Timothy. Hi.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming.
Everyone. All right. First and foremost, the agenda for tonight, some housekeeping. Do remember to mute your mic, and of course, naturally, it's muted. The next thing is, if you have any questions, please feel free to type
out in the comments, post the comments. If you are coming from anywhere else outside of Singapore, thank you very much for attending, and we do welcome you. All right. If you do have any questions with regards to the EFG, we will try our very best to answer you at the same time. But do enjoy ourselves and also our hospitality, right? So before we do go in very much into the dashboard of the unit itself, I have a very short presentation from Ubiquity for the EFG. We will go through some of the key features and functionality of the EFG. And naturally, of course, we will also stress a lot on why the EFG, okay? Let's have fun and enjoy ourselves. During the Q&A, please do feel free to join in. Do note that there will be a slight lag, about 1 to 2 seconds between our presentation, okay? Because we are also streaming to various different platforms at the same time, okay? So let's move into the presentation now. Okay, let me go in. Right, Unify has recently come out the Enterprise series on the Fortress Gateway. Okay, so the Fortress Gateway, basically it's a router with very much firewall features and functionality. For the Fortress Gateway, we are looking at customers which has 5,000 or more simultaneous clients, okay, and they are managing 500 plus APs or switches. There are definitely sites even around ASEAN or Asia Pac that has more than 500 APs and switches. Okay, so do not be surprised. And at the same time, with a routing capability with the IPS and IDS turned on at 12.5 Gbps. Okay. Similarly, it also does multi-WAN load balancing. It can accept 2 WANs. All right, it can accept 2 WANs. All right, it has a RJ45 and a SFP 28 for WAN. Okay. Next, we have also the ports. All right. So you have 25G SFP 28 port, 2 at 10G SFP plus ports, and 1 2.5G RJ45 LAN port. Okay. Now for the WAN port, you can actually utilize one of the SFP 28 ports. All right, and the other 2.5 GB RJ45 WAN port. Now for the unit, it actually has 2 PSU. All right, so there's power redundancy on it. Can it operate on one single PSU? Yes, it can. All right. Should you have any failure on any of the PSU, you can just pull it out and replace hot swappable. All right, so don't worry. Now let's look at the routing security features. All right, first is the next gen firewall. It is definitely a qualified next gen firewall, right? And of course, it has the usual IPS and IDS. Okay, with regards to this, okay, we have some input from Timothy on the IPS and IDS. Okay, yes, Tim. So what do you heard? What have you heard lately on the IPS and IDS for the EFG? Okay, specifically for the EFG.
Well, the IDS and IPS, it is I would say the main flagship feature, the EFG, right? I think we're all excited to see what is included in this. Yes, a lot of the cloud gateways have this feature, but the EFG really takes it another step further with enhanced threat detection, enhanced intrusion detection system, as well as the enhanced protection, right? So what this does is basically it gives you the peace of mind to know that while you are on the internet, right, the EFG stands between you and would-be road actors that might try to infiltrate into your network through malware, or even if, for example, if you have a device internally within your LAN that may be compromised, the EFG would also similarly pick it up and show that actually you do have outbound a suspicious traffic. All right, and it will actually block it using the IPS functionality.
So am I right to say that the EFG's IPS and IDS is much stronger than what we will usually see in the UDM Pro and UDM SE?
Yes, you're absolutely right in that, Jason. Actually, the EFG does bring additional features, like I said before, enhancements. It gives a lot more protection than what you would normally get from the standard the UDM Pros or the UDM SEs or even the Ultra Cloud gateways, right? So the EFG is really meant for enterprise customers who want to have that throughput. And remember, guys, it's 12.5G with the IDS and IPS switched on. Okay, at the price point, I don't know what that will land in Singapore finally, but I'm very confident that that price point is going to be a lot lower than what you would see in the market right now for other competitors that would try to achieve even half, I would say even half of 12.5G, right? Remember, that's with all the security features switched on.
Okay, right. So let's move on to the next thing is on the content and domain filtering. Okay, that's also part of it. As usual, we actually are enjoying it right now with our UDM Pro and UDM SEs. Okay, ad blocking is also there. Country-based restriction, also the DPI, which is what everybody's enjoying since a while back with the UDM Pro, and also next will be on the source net and destination net net pooling. For the SSL TLS inspection, okay, so Tim, I understand for the SSL and TLS inspection,
Yep.
what do you have to add for that?
Well, I would say that is something that is, again, new rather to Unify, where it brings to the market here. It's quite interesting, Jason, because if you look at the way Unify has been bringing products and features into the market, right? It's been nothing short of revolutionary. I really like the way that they say rethinking IT. So the same familiar ecosystem, the same way that you're used to having all the features on the site manager. Well, from a single dashboard, you'll be able to control the EFG, and you'll be able to also get access and insights actually into the inspection of the EFG traffic.
Yes, definitely we will do a very brief review on this SSL and TLS inspection. So this is something that I believe all
with us. Okay. Next will be the inline sandboxing. This is something that is coming soon. It's not yet ready. Okay, it's not available yet. It's coming. Okay. All you have to do is once it's available, you just have to update the firmware and that's done. All right. There's no additional cost for installing it. Okay. Like I mentioned, there's no additional cost for installing it. Right. For the networking portion, the networking application, you have your HA, your high availability, which is using the VRRP. All right, and you have your dynamic routing, your WAN load balancing, you have ratio load balancing between the rate and the failover, QoS bandwidth management, policy-based routing, SD-WAN, which you have for your site magic. It's very easy to configure as long as you have one site with a public WAN reachable IP. Your secondary site doesn't need to have a public WAN IP. You can use a private WAN IP and it's still doable. As for the VPN, it supports IPsec, WireGuard, OpenVPN. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, the teleport VPN. Okay, now I have a very quick table to show to compare between the UCG Ultra, the UDM Pro, the UDM Pro Max, and the EFG. First and foremost, of course, let's look at the simultaneous clients. For the EFG, you can handle 5,000 and above, all right? The number of devices manageable. For the UDM Pro is up to 75. For the Pro Max is up to 200. For the EFG is up to 500, okay? Now, of course, last but not least, we will look at the routing function which we just mentioned, which is 12.5 Gbps. Now, in terms of application, the EFG can only handle network. So that means there's no protect, there's no access for it, okay, even though it's your controller for everything. All right, so it's a controller for your network portion. If you are going to add protect, you're going to need to add a UNVR Pro to have protect or UNVR. Okay, as in the next gen firewall, the IPS IDS is an enhanced version, definitely. So there'll be a lot more additional signatures added. Okay. DPCAT inspection, your SSL inspection, which is only available in EFG, is the SSL inspection, and also the sandboxing for the anti-malware. Comprehensive VPN is available for all. Secure SD-WAN is also, and also the QoS and policy-based routing. Okay, so when do we deploy the EFG? Okay, you have to select the EFG when customer needs a gateway. Okay, a gateway, so it's a router to manage upwards of 150 to 500 unified devices, handling simultaneous clients of 1,005 to 5,000. Simultaneous, that means at concurrent. Okay, you can have 20,000 clients connected, but concurrent simultaneously, you may have only 5,000 users at the same time. And to deliver upwards of 5 gig up to 12.5 gig with the IPS and IDS enabled. Supporting SSL and TLS inspection, and support malware sandboxing. It's currently the highest end offering from Ubiquiti under the Unify series, right? Last but not least, let's not forget about the Unify advantages. No licensing fee, scalable multi-site management and administration, full stack solution available, very, very nice user interface and user experience, very well thought of. The software is extremely, extremely innovative and thoughtful. Full feature web for mobile app also, okay? And last but not least, professional services. Okay, so let's jump very quickly to see if there's any Q&A from anyone. Okay, right. So for Q&A, let's look at the comment section to see if anybody has anything.
Feel free to add your comments if you have any. We are on the lookout. We do have another screen. Okay, we do have multiple screen. It took us quite a few hours to set up this whole thing. All right, correct, Timothy. So actually, we are, like I mentioned in our Facebook page, we are the first in ASEAN to do this. Of course, Australia jumped the gun and they did it the previous night. Okay, thanks, Alex. So
Maybe
come
what we
on.
can do is just show them part of the
Yeah. So
the site manager.
let's move on to the dashboard. Timothy, let's look at your screen.
Okay.
Okay, let's have Timothy show us his site manager. Okay, so the EFG has been added in. Very briefly, you'll see a couple of others. All right.
Teams site inside, and also the
I've been invited as admin for some other people.
yeah. All right. So we do have our first question from John. Jonathan has asked, the SSL inspection is limited to whitelist application. For that, let's take a look at it when Timothy is looking at the SSL inspection. We will run through very briefly on how it's done for the SSL inspection and what needs to be done in order to be able to see what's in the SSL inspection. Okay, so let Tim click on the EFG that we are using tonight. Okay, for the EFG that we are using tonight, let's look at the network application. We actually I have it on dual WAN. Okay, so there are two WANs in it. One WAN is 10G and the other WAN is a single G. And I've set it on a load balancing mode in case if any of the connection get disconnected. Currently, the webinar is 100% fully running on the EFG via for all our computers that are hooked up tonight.
Okay, so we have another question here from Tao Lim, right? Earlier on, Jason did run through the standard deck where you saw Unify provided. You have a 2.5G Ethernet port as well as a SFP28 port configured for WAN. Yes, that's by default out of the box. So Tao, your question is, can you configure other SFP or SFP Plus as WAN? The answer is on the screen here, and I'll show that to you. So traditionally, you will notice whether you have a UDM to the type of ports and the port numbers that you can select. But with the EFG, I'm happy to share with you that, as you can see here, there are 6 ports. So you can select any port from 1 to 6. Okay, so that means, yes, in short, you can select any of the ports to be your WAN. All right. So I hope.
Right.
So here in the dashboard, you can see this is your EFG, and I'll just click on the device here, just jump straight into it. You can see on the right-hand side here that there are 6 ports, and you should be already familiar by now. The different colors demarcate the different uplink speeds. Let's go into the port manager. All right. One of the things, by the way, I had the advantage of, or rather the pleasure of having tested this equipment before it was launched, and we discovered quite an interesting number of things. One of them here is I would highly recommend you turn on the all filter instead of only those in use, right? Because I assume you will be planning to roll out your port profiles and your VLANs based on what's available as well as what's connected. So always turn the all to the filter there, so you can see all the ports that are available for you. All right. So let me just scroll down. I think because the view is a bit small, so yeah, let me just reduce that here. So you can now see port 1 to 6. All right, you can see all 6 ports are listed here. And you can also see that as now there are no port profiles that have been applied to the ports. So in this single pane of glass, you will be able to see your ports. You will also be able to choose by filters. Obviously, in this case, the EFG does not have any PoEs, right? Because I am currently working on the EFG here on the top. But if I were to drop down and choose a switch, and this is the 48 PoE Pro Max?
Pro 48 PoE.
Okay, so if I will switch to that here, you can then see that again, then this would apply, right? You would have your PoE++ that's running right here. So I could just select PoE++ as a filter, and those ports that are PoE++ capable would appear on this. All right. This is not new, but this is just something for you to take note of when you're planning your port deployment. All right, so let's switch back to the EFG. Okay, and I'll select again the all filter here. So why do I talk about the port profile? Because it's important to use the port profile on the EFG to plan your VLANs. Okay, here you can see there's a switch on the top. You have the tabs port, insights, and VLAN. So I'll just go through them. The ports here, you will see those that are active. And if you hover over them or you click on them, you'll be able to see, in this case, my WAN is configured here, right? If I click on the port 2, you can then see that there is available for us to select whether auto or manual, right? I assume those of you that are interested in EFG, you will be going to manual. And here's where then you'll be selecting your link speed. So you can see all the link speeds for the Ethernet port that I've now selected, port 2, that's available for you, all right? Unfortunately, there is no 10 GBE on this. Okay. Then now let's select port 3. And again, you'll be able to see on the SFP Plus, you either have 10G or 1G. All right. We have an option here to enable Ethernet port profiles. If you want to set a Ethernet port profile with a specific VLAN, right? This is where you would do this to enable it. Then you would go into the port profile settings. For example, if I were to jump in there, right, I would be able to go into the settings, profiles, and start creating my port profiles. Okay. You notice here that in the native VLAN or network selection, there's only default or none, right? That's because in this demo set of the EFG, there's basically only one network, which is the default that's been created. Okay, so if you were to go into the port profiles, you will be able to select your different VLANs and assign it to a specific port, right? You can leave the PoE set on auto, and with your VLAN, if you're familiar with it, you can choose whether you want to tag all VLAN or block or do some custom settings on it. Okay, this will be, the custom will be enabled if you have more than one network set. And then on manual, this is where you'll be able to adjust your link speed. And link speed is dependent on the port profile. So remember, you might run into an error if, for example, you set your port profile to 10 Gbps, right? And you're trying to assign a port profile to port 2, for example. Okay. So for example, let's pretend I've got a port profile that I've created, and it specifies that that port profile should be 10G, right? And I'm trying to assign it on a 2.5G or a 1G port. That's not going to work. So you should always plan your port profile settings according to the speed and the VLAN that you want to set. That's the tip that I have for you.
I would like to add something, especially in this category of products. Usually, in our case, when we do it in a very commercial sense, we will definitely plan out all the IP tables and also the VLANs way ahead of time to also then know which ports we will be using for what VLANs. Okay, that's very, very, very important, because when you go VRRP, which is high availability, you're going to need another WAN switch. The switch is going to manage all your WANs, and only through that then can you have a proper HA. Okay, so do take note of that. very, very sure, please plan ahead of time, draw it out, use an Excel file to your advantage, put out your VLAN tags and your VLAN IDs and your DHCP's range and everything. Okay, this takes a lot of planning. It's not just something just buy off the shelf and try to plug it in and do it on the fly. Okay, not advisable. Seriously not advisable. There's a reason why Timothy has spent quite a bit of time on the port profiling, because that plays a big part, especially when you reach the EFG stage. You will definitely be using it a lot on the HA. Okay, so let's move on to the next portion. We'll look at settings. Okay.
Yeah, so just before I jump into that, I just want to quickly show you, right? So the insights here, you see graphical chart interface and insights, so your packets, the speed over the time. So you can selectively choose whether you want the 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month. In this case, I think this item is only
no, I've been running for 1 day.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
there's
won't
not much
be able
traffic.
to see anything more than this, right? And then of course again you have your VLAN. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, guys, but this is something that was newly introduced a couple of months or a month or two ago. This is where you'll be able to see in the color the VLANs that are tagged. So for example, we only have one VLAN, right? VLAN, which is default one. So you will only see one blue. So if you had another VLAN, if you imagine there's another board over there, you will see that the VLAN tagged, and then the ports that are tagged to that particular VLAN will be specific to that color. And so if you've got 5 or 6 different VLANs, this in a nutshell helps you see exactly what ports on the EFG are tagged. All right. So sorry, Jason, you were asking something else about the...
Yeah, let's move on and see not just on the ports itself. Let's look at security. Yeah, let's talk about security. I believe everybody wants to see the security portion. Let's go tab by tab and then before we move on to the very final tab.
Okay, so in general, under the settings, so you would go to settings and security, right? Then under the general tab, you have this device identification. This basically helps you to ID what type of devices on the network, right? And then you have the traffic as well. So you should always turn these two on, my recommendation. So it makes your life a little bit easier as an administrator to understand what you're looking at in terms of traffic and what device is using that traffic, right? Otherwise, you'll be all over the place trying to figure out which device is accessing malware or suspicious traffic. The next one you have is on a geo country restrictions. Basically, that's on geo blocking. So you can choose to block or allow specific regions that you would be interested in blocking or allowing specifically, depending on how secure your network and in and outbound traffic needs to be.
Yes.
Okay. Ad blocking is something that's useful for us. In my testing, there are actually a lot of apps and a lot of things that are installed in plain vanilla off-the-shelf laptops that are downloading ads that you don't even realize, right? They're just traffic running back and forth. You don't even see. With this turn on, you'll be able to see everything.
Right,
and you'll be surprised the amount of traffic that
let's try something later on and we can surely see it. Okay.
Okay, so you have DNS Shield basically that helps you to do a DOH, right? DNS over HTTPS. And this is optional. I personally don't use it, but if you want to, you can. And you can also manually specify, example in this case here, the shields that you want to use or the DNS providers you want to use. Okay. Internal hardport is ready for people who are in the CISOC or cybersecurity space, or you're just really curious and hungry and you want to see what's been trying to come into your network. Here's where you'll be able to create something so that it becomes a artificial entry point for would-be hackers to try and infiltrate your network. So you'll be able to collect and log all the requests that are made into your network, all right, to find whether there are any strange, whether it's in or out. So for example, if you have a suspicious client in your network that is pinging every single computer, every single IP in your network, I think I'll be a little curious to figure out why and what's it trying to do. So then you could always create this, and so you could log all the traffic that this rogue client is trying to get to, all the ports and everything. So that's where your internal honeypot is. Okay. So IPS, we talked about this, intrusion prevention, right? You can turn this on, don't turn it off. This is where the EFG really shines with its 12.5G throughput. And here, I want to highlight something that's interesting for all of us here. There is something called a signature update. Okay, I think I can probably zoom in a little now for the guys. All right,
So
so
signature update
update
here,
here.
you can see here that there is a timestamp on this. So you can see as of this evening at 6:42, the virus signatures have been updated, right? What this means is basically you can check when your EFG has been updated with the latest IDS and IPS signatures. Typically, in Singapore at this point in time, there is no ability to upgrade to the enhanced version, but I understand there might be plans underway to bring this along. So maybe we will get more frequent updates on a daily basis if we have the ability to subscribe. Now, something that you will want to pay attention to is earlier when we talked about VLANs and networks, this is where you would define. So for example, if you only want to inspect your LAN traffic, but you don't want to inspect your guest networks, or if you don't want to inspect your Wi-Fi traffic, right? Here's where you can exclude that from this IDS and IPS inspection, all right? Filtering mode, I think this is clear. You turn it on to notify or notify and block. So in a high security environment, certainly I would turn it on to notify and block. And I would also turn on the detection sensitivity to high. For me, in a high sensitive environment, it's more important to get false positives than not block. Okay, so I would turn that on and leave the dark web blocker and known malicious IPs on as well. Here, if you have specific clients or specific traffic, say for example, if you have a VM somewhere hosted on AWS or on Azure or Google, right? You would want to whitelist that traffic, and this is where you would be able to do that so that you don't get any traffic that's blocked or artificially inspected without necessary, right? Okay, then we have port forwarding. I think we don't need to cover this too much. This is quite vanilla. ACL rules as well, access control lists. You can filter by MAC or IPv4, right? Traffic firewall rules. Okay, there's nothing here. Although, if you click on advanced, you then actually see that by default, Unify already does this for you when you set up your WAN and LAN. Okay, so this is what actually Unify does. It's interesting. So have a look at it with the advanced tab.
I would like to add some comments on
Advanced tab. Do not touch anything on the advanced tab unless you are very familiar with the usual way of how firewall rules work. Okay, because if you touch the wrong thing, then the whole thing may collapse. Okay, it does happen. All right. Only touch the advanced if you are very familiar with the usual firewall rules. Okay, take note of that. Okay, let's spend more time on the signature AI, and we will try to run a very quick demo and to see how and where do you see the next AI. Okay, come, let's team.
Okay, so here we are on the next AI. This is something that I think all of you have been waiting for. So to enable next AI, you can come to this tab and turn on. Here you have two options. You either have the simple, and I'll show you the simple, right? That's what you see in the simple tab here. You can then selectively choose which networks you want to inspect with the next AI. And this is really on the SSL inspection part of the EFG, right? So you can select whether you want to have specific, and in this case, if you have multiple VLANs here, you can select VLAN 1, VLAN 2, and so on and so forth, right? So the targeted networks, or you can leave it as all networks. Okay, so this is something that you can toggle. By default, it's on all network end types. If you want to be more specific, like I said, you can select networks, and you can also target the traffic type. So for example, if you're only interested in web browsing, for example, right, but you don't really care about inspecting email, whether it's POP3 or IMAP or MAPI or SMTPS, right, you can just turn on HTTPS. Okay. Of course, if you want to turn on all, that's fine as well, right? Okay, then next here, you can see on inspected domains, you can choose to inspect everything, or you can specifically go in and only target the domains that you would want to inspect. All right. So notice if I select all, it will by default select everything that uh, the EFG sees. Okay. However, you do have the option here to exclude certain destinations or domains. For example, in here, in order to protect the privacy of people, you want to exclude anything with, because we're in Singapore, right? You want to exclude anything with a .gov.sg, or perhaps if you're in the education space, you want to you want to exclude anything that has edu.sg at the end of it.
Yeah, with regards to that,
Be very careful. With regards to that, be very careful about recording all this information, because Singapore, we do have regulations on that. With this EFG and the SSL inspection, you can even see what people are doing on their financial transactions and everything. Okay, do take note of that. With regards to the question also on the SSL inspection is limited to whitelisted applications. I'm not sure if these two thing actually answer your questions on the inspected domain and also the inspection exclusion. So you can add a domain to be excluded. Okay, so you can add the domain name to exclude it. Let's say, for example, you want to exclude BBC or CNN or things like that to be not being inspected. Okay, or you can add the DBS bank or the irregular banks that your employees or staff are using, so you don't see their banking transactions. Okay, do take note of that. Okay, FSI industries are very sensitive, so as much as we want to see everything, okay, just take note of that. Okay, that's my advice to all. Okay, can cancel first. Let's do something else. Okay.
Okay, so here you can see here,
Right,
right?
that I've added a couple of domains here to be excluded. So I've shown you in an example in this screen share. You can add individual sites manually one by one, or you can do a multiple, right? So in multiple, you can even import a file. So it's very clever. You can import a file that you want, right? And that basically will be just like a CSV file, and you'll be able to import the whole list of domains you want to exclude. All right. On the reverse side of things, okay, so I'll just cancel this here. On the reverse side of things, let's say you only want to inspect specific domains, right? And then here's where you then specify, okay, by default, it's quite clever. Jason, it gives you all the search engines that EFG Unify has been made aware of. And by the way, guys, there is a Unify community page. If you do have other search engines or large language model search engines you want to add to this list, just voice out in the community, and the Unify guys are quite active and they will take that into consideration.
right, do note that
GPT is also included. All right. And actually, do note that your UDM Pro, UDM SEs can actually block ChatGPT. Okay. If in your work environment or your home environment you want to block ChatGPT, it is possible. Just add in as your application to block within your network. And if it's a certain VLANs, okay, just add it into the VLANs to block ChatGPT or Bing or Copilot. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we don't need to talk about the reverse
of what we just mentioned with the specific and all. I think everyone understands all this, right? The interesting thing to do is also, for me especially, right, actions. So here in the action, let me just zoom out a little bit here so you can see. Okay, I can give the action a friendly name. So for example, I'm looking for search queries, right? Right? And I'm interested to list the type of action. So if there is a query that I'm inspecting for, I'm looking for example, on drugs, keyword drugs, right? I can choose to either track or track and block. Okay, so silently on some cases, maybe people are looking for cholesterol drugs, right? You don't want to alert and block that. So maybe you just put it as a track. Okay, and then let's say if I'm looking for suicide, right? How people commit suicide. I don't want people to find out how to commit suicide. I'll track and block that, and then I will have that as a block, track and block. All right. So there'll be different types of keywords that you can use for the queries. And again, you can change how it works. So in this case here, you notice that the control is singular. What do I mean? So if I select query control track, okay, everything in this query list is on a track action. So what does that mean if I want to have a track versus track and block? So I'll remove suicide from here as an example. So drugs is on a track, okay? So I will put here track, all right? And I will just add this. So instantly you can see search queries track. The type is a query and the action is a track. I can again then go and create search queries, right? Track and block, okay? And in this case, I then toggle suicide, for example, okay? Or bombs, okay? So I add. So here you then see that now we have two different actions, one for track, one for track and block, okay? And you can obviously click on it and edit and add more if you need to. You can add more to this list, right? Just keep adding it to this list, all right? There's another action here called block file types. So if there is a specific policy in your home, in your organization, you don't want to allow TOR files, you don't want to allow torrents, you don't want to allow MP3s or MP4s. This is where you would go to block those type of files, right? And you would just be able to select specifically that type of file. So if let's say I'm looking for MP4, right? I can just click add and I give it a name, block star.mp4. All right, just give it a friendly name. And then you can see now that the name is there and the file type and the option is block. Again, like I said, you can go in and add more files to the list. So for example, if you wanted to block MPEG files as well, you'll be able to get in there. And then now you've got multiple files that are blocked. And obviously I would call this MP4 and MPEG files. Okay, right. And next one is URL. Okay, so this one is pretty interesting, Jason. This is really where you start going into the details of what you want to block. So for example, if you wanted to block a category, okay, so I think earlier on that question, one of the attendees had on whitelisting apps. It's not really an app per se in this category here, but it's more on the type of URL that is listed within the category. So you can block adult category, for example. You can block games, gambling. You could even block large language models, or maybe you want to block, I don't know, streaming and online TV, right? Because you only want to focus on work. So you could do that, and then we could say, okay, block URLs and add that in. So here now, next AI would be able to use all that we've added in here as the various criteria, and based on this, decide how to run the engine. Okay. For now, I'll just remove this MP4 and MPEG files, and I'll hit apply. Now you notice that there's this little thing here called certificate at the bottom. I'm going to hit apply right now first. Okay. And then here, there's a little video that tells you what to do. The reason why they're telling you what to do is because this next step is very, very important. If you don't understand what you're doing, it's okay. Close this, watch the video. Notice you can hit the share button or you can click on watch on YouTube. Watch the video, ask the questions, consult your SIs and vendors, people like Jason, find out how is the best way to implement this, because once you do turn this on, and if you haven't done the right process, right, you might not get access to internet easily. I use the word easily.
Yeah. Okay. So handle with care for the right. So handle with extreme care with regards to this. Of course, the blocking of categories is actually available right now, even on the UDM Pro and UDM SE. But with the next AI inspection, it actually gives you a lot more information than what you can get currently, which later we'll give you a very quick preview on what we will be seeing in log when and if your computers are already installed with this certificate. In order for the clients, what we call clients, which will be the computers or the phones, to be tracked and logged by the EFG, you need to install the certificate. Okay, you need to install the certificate into the client device in order for the next AI inspection to work. All right.
Okay, so yeah, so
Yes.
let's look at this here.
There is a question here with regards to URL categorization. If there is rated under the wrong category, yes, you can raise it up to Ubiquity for reclassification, especially if you do find one that's for Singapore. You can also post it on the Facebook page, or you can write in as a ticket support to prove or to show them that it is in the wrong category. Okay, because most of the programmers are Westerners and Americans. They may not know what is our situation. Okay. If there's an issue blocking YouTube due to quick protocol, no, not that we know of on our side. Double check your DNS on your site. Do you see this problem in Singapore on the YouTube being blocked on the protocol?
I haven't.
Yeah, we haven't. This is the first time I'm seeing this. Do voice out and double check your DNS. Okay.
Yes. So there's another question from John here. Is that next gen cert meant for SSL decryption? Yes. This is exactly why I was saying earlier. It is very, very important for you to make sure you understand what you're going to do with the next AI, especially when it says here next AI inspection certificate on clients. All right. You must make sure you install and roll out this certificate. This certificate, which is the little button here at the bottom that says download certificate. You need to download that cert and push down that certificate, whether you have a MDM solution or whether you go to every single computer and do it manually, and handphone, by the way. If you notice, there's also a guide for iOS and Android, right?
Make sure you push down and install this as a trusted CA, cert authority. All right. So you have several options. So let me just show you the download certificate button here. So I'm going to click on download certificate. Make sure you hit save as. I've already done it earlier, but it's okay. I'll just rename it and do it again. And I'll just keep, you get this warning here because in this case, Microsoft Edge is trying to be clever, right? It detects that, yes, this is going to be a certificate. You sure you want to keep it? In this case, we do know what we're doing, so we'll keep it. Okay. Then I'm going to hit proceed. And here you'll notice now that basically this is now turned on. Okay. Need to manage your certificates. There's also a manage button. Remember, this is under the security, settings security here. You have a manage certificates here. And you can even add new certificates. All right. So in case your one of the certs expired or you want to expire a cert that's early, you can just add a new certificate. All right. Now I've downloaded the cert and I've not installed it on this computer. All right. But let's just go and see what the EFG sees right now. So let's go into this thing called Insights.
Sorry. At the same time, let me go to. I have already installed a previous cert. Let's see if it's still usable. I have accessed CNN and BBC website on my computer. Okay, and you can see that it has started to log. It started to log all the advertisements, all the ad blocks. Okay, maybe Tim can expand it and you can see it. All right. So even if I am accessing websites like BBC and CNN, we can scroll down and see that they do feed us a lot of ads. Okay, and the EFG will actually log it, and you can monitor it and you can see it. All right. Does it support Let's Encrypt? No, you will have to use Ubiquiti's cert for it. Okay, you definitely have to use their cert for it. Okay. Okay. Any other questions so far on the next gen AI?
Okay. Tim, let's go back and
so
see.
while we were looking at the insights here, okay, so in the EFG you have an insights tab. This is the UDM series in the EFG right now. But what is new, however, is this thing called inspection here, where you then have something called queries as well as intrusion. Okay, you should already be familiar with something called blocked and allowed. Okay, I think this one we don't need to discuss, but just to show you, there is a risk category rating on this, right? And if you scroll down a little bit more, you then have the options here to block connection, block the source IP, or destination IP, or even the domain name. Okay, this is very standard. So then let's go to queries. Okay, so as of right now, there is no queries that's been set. So we need to get probably Jason start running some queries, and we will be able to generate this list. All right, so maybe he's gonna go to Google or something.
Okay, let me try and for something.
Okay, let's talk about NDP. Let's query about NDP. So there will be some blocks being generated in the EFG. I have started looking on the NDP preview 2024. Tomorrow is Singapore's National Day, and it's common for workers or staff to look out for such information. So let's refresh the EFG to see if it has already captured some queries. Okay.
So right away
Has it
you
come
can
up?
see
Okay.
the search engine here used was Google, right? NDP review.
2024, and it was allowed, and I can click on that. I can also see the URL. All right, you can scroll down and see the client. So the client here, you can change the names if you want, and you can see the target as well as the source MAC ID, the MAC address, IP, port.
Right, I'm also trying out a
Search engine. So I switch over and jumped over to Bing, and you can see that once Timothy refreshes, okay, you can see that I've already switched over to Bing, and from Bing I've already jumped on to another different website, and also at the same time we may try to use different ways to access different websites. Don't worry, the EFG will still capture it. Okay, do note that I've already installed the certificate prior to the start of the webinar, so it's definitely there. So let's click on the queries and refresh it slightly to see if it does show anything else.
So maybe Jason, what you can do is try searching for drugs.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, we already, so he has already.
For the keyword drug, okay? For the keyword drug.
With or without S?
Without.
Okay, without S. Okay, good. So I searched for drug using Bing. Okay. And let's see what happens.
Let's just give it a while to refresh.
Okay. I'm still able to carry on surfing, and I'm still okay to surf. Okay.
Yeah, here you can see, so here you can see there is an action. Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So on the keyword hit drug, whether drug or drugs, right? The drug there will trigger an action, and this query here, you will then be able to decide based on the notifications that you set as administrator. Do you want to receive an email? Do you want to receive an app that will give you a pop-up alert upon trigger? Okay, so you can start to imagine all the different type of queries that you might be concerned about, and you might want to have this logged and tracked to make sure that keywords that are important to you are indeed tracked.
Okay. So we have done the query portion and also on what Tim has done on the tracking. Okay. We haven't blocked the we haven't. Oh yeah.
Okay, so I want to show you real quickly before we run out of time here, right? Without installing the SSL cert for inspection, this is what your clients will see. Okay, so they can still proceed through if they know how to.
But in this case here, it's blocked, right? It says there's a error cert authority invalid. Okay, so and then of course there's all this information here if they need to, but in order to avoid this, I then need to install this cert, and I'm going to go to my local machine. Okay, I'm just going to key in my administrator password here. Oops. Is it? Okay, wait, let me get this. I think I hit it wrong way.
Very secure person. All right. So team is very secure. Okay. Can it still detect the
there we go.
query while searching through VPN or different IP? Okay. For that, we didn't try it this time around because this webinar is just basically to show you a very quick run through on what's available. All right. I strongly believe if it's going through a different IP or VPN, the EFG will definitely pick it up to inform the administrators that
there is a VPN bit running at the background, and of course something is going on. Okay, so now now the other one, my client list is my ThinkPad. Okay, that is my ThinkPad that's connected to the network that's on the EFG. Okay, so right, this is Teams computer.
Right. So earlier I was telling you on installing the certs, right? So basically after keying in the administrator password and logging in,
I then need to select where I would want to place a cert. And like I mentioned earlier, you want to install it in the trusted root CA and click OK and next. And then when you're done, you hit finish. All right. And the import will be successful. Obviously, you will see here that the cert has been issued by Unified SSL Cert Authority. You can then also go and check manage user certs. And just to verify, it has been installed right at the bottom here, the Unify SSL Cert Authority. You see two because I have this in a different profile that's been installed on the computer. In this environment, I didn't have JSON cert earlier, but now I do. All right. So let me just close, maybe refresh this. Not sure if I need to, reboot here and see if that will run. Okay. Nope. So after installing the cert, it is recommended that you would reboot the device. In fact, it is in the documentation. It says reboot the device to make sure that the root cert takes hold. Okay. So just remember that you need to do that after you install the client cert. Make sure all the devices are rebooted. Okay. So I think we had a earlier question on the client name, right? In this case here, it's the name of Jason's laptop, but you can always give it a different name, right? So the laptop ThinkPad, as you see here, can be renamed to whatever name you want to call it, right? So you could call it TGN Jason Lenovo, for example, right? And then just hit apply changes. And if I go back to the inspection here, you can see straight away that it's been changed to TGN Jason Lenovo. Okay. All right. So another interesting point on this is maybe Jason, now you can try and do a search on suicide or bomb as a keyword.
Okay, hang on, let me go Google and search. Content.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to refresh this, and I hope you all can see that.
No. Okay.
Yeah. So our dear friend here.
Hang on, let me share this screen to show you guys what will happen.
What it looks like.
Hang on. This is interesting. All right. This is what happens.
Coming up.
It's coming up. I'll give it a couple of seconds.
Okay.
I'll give it a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what you'll see when you search for block query. All right. So it's actually being blocked not by the authority, but rather the EFG. So it will state there that content is restricted by the next AI, and contact administrator for more information. Okay. But at the same time, for team, if we were to switch over to team screen, on his screen, you will see that we did search a query on BOM, okay, and also which search engine was being used for the query, and it alerts the administrator and it was doing block. Can this bypass by searching in another language? We haven't tried. We tried Chinese. You haven't tried Chinese? I try to type other different language. I'm not sure. I think if it's a Roman alphabet, it should be fine. I'm not sure about any other characters though. Yeah, that's something that will be interesting to check and find out. Mr. Lim, we will get back to you on that. Okay. Okay. So we are running out of time, and we're going towards the end of our webinar. Okay. I'm very, very happy and glad that most of you, actually, a large number of you stayed. Usually for webinars, very rarely we can keep the numbers. Okay. At the same time, no, because it was BOM. Anything that's close to it, they will flag it up because of the asterisk. Okay. So right. For those who are in Singapore, and you wish to see the physical unit, I'm trying to arrange something as soon as possible within this month for it to happen. For those in Singapore, I'll try to arrange as soon as possible for this month to have a physical meetup on and to show the unit itself. Okay, do keep a lookout on the Facebook page. I will make an announcement there. Okay, then we can proceed from there. Okay. Other than that, I think, Tim, we are fine for today. Okay, let's stop our presentation.
Yeah.
Mr. Lim, it's
I guess you just have to look out for it when it arrives.
yeah, it'll take a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just
All
gonna...
right. So thank you very much for attending today's webinar. Do keep a lookout for more webinars coming. I have done also a poll to check on the preference for you guys on the update for Unify. And most of you have selected evening slot. I will make arrangement to have an evening slot for a quick update for maybe 1 hour or 90 minutes on it. Okay. For those who are system installers and resellers for the EFG, you need to do registration. We don't sell it to retail. We don't sell it by itself, and also all units have to be registered in Singapore context. Okay, in Singapore we are regulated. Okay, as long as you want to hold our passport, we are regulated. Okay, yeah. Okay, get used to it. Okay, this is a very powerful machine. Okay, everything has to be registered. Right. So with that, we would like to end today's session. We hope it's very insightful and helpful for you guys and informative.
Maybe I just add one more point
Yes,
here.
please.
I just add one more point. If we could just show the screen real quick here.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, if we could just see this screen.
No. Let's look at Timothy's screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Great. So I think we had an earlier question on certificates, right?
Certificate that is already recognized. So here you have the option to use either the self-signed cert, or you can upload one that you already have, or you can upload a private key. Okay, so I hope that gives you the assurance that there is a flexibility out there. And self-sign, of course, is valid for 10 years, right? But outside of this EFG, it's not going to be valid anywhere else. So if you do have a public cert that you want to upload, feel free. Okay, so I think that's already something that Unify has really thought in advance, and for larger organizations that use certificates to enroll computers into their organization, this also is one option that you can use so that you don't need to only rely on a self-signed cert.
Yeah, someone was asking about it for the Let's Encrypt, right?
Right,
I
exactly.
usually use that for Synology. Yeah, because who was asking Let's Encrypt? Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, you asked about Let's Encrypt, right? If you have a Let's Encrypt cert, just should be fine to use it. Do know that the cert that's issued by Unify, it's for 10 years. Okay, it's for 10 years. It's valid for 10 years. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Hang on. Where's my? Oh no. Right.
By the way,
Right.
guys, if you they can't see the screen again.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We just switch back to that real quick.
Okay, let me stop it. Okay, stop.
Okay, so coming back, I think.
Yeah, coming back.
Yep. Okay. So just have a look at this here. The 90,000 threads will be something that is a subscription-based model.
Yes, that was why earlier in my PDF, I was very careful about it. Yeah, for that, it's going to be subscription for that. Okay, so do take note. As much as Unify is free for quite a number of things, that I think they will have to pay somebody for it, and that's going to cost a little bit of money. I think it still will be manageable for most, so it's still good. Given the price point for this machine, if we were to compare with something similar in the market, I believe very much it's
I think even if you take the subscription price and you multiply it by 10 and then you multiply it by 10 years, you're still going to be substantially more affordable than the next competitor that can achieve 12.5 Gbps on
right.
IPS and IPS.
Okay, since you're on this page, let's look at the dashboard again. I just want to show you guys something. Okay, if you were to look at my Wang speed, right? Let's scroll down a little bit. That was our last. That was my last speed test. You want to zoom in a bit? That was my last speed test. Yeah. So I was hovering between 7 to 8G. I'm on commercial 10G line. Okay, I'm on a commercial 10G line static IP. Okay, so this is the performance I'm getting on my EFG. Okay, so I believe and I think this will give you a rough guideline of what you hope to get. Okay, let's wait for the physical session. I will try to get a better speed for those speed chasers, but look at latency. Okay, latency wise, everything is 1 ms. Okay, is it possible to retrieve the host name of the client? How so will there be an unidentified client on the network? I'm not sure about that. Let's hook up on the next physical meeting and then you can try it if you want to. Okay, I'll definitely give everybody who attends the physical training a LAN cable and you can hook it up and try it out. Okay.
Well, you see the MAC ID.
Yeah, true. The MAC ID or the IP, and yeah, based on the IP, you should be able to see who is the
you see the
client.
MAC ID if it somehow cannot detect the device.
Okay, earlier one more thing is when Tim was talking about the honeypot, right? We do cover that portion on the cybersecurity routing certification course. Okay. I'm on ONT. I'm on ONT. On the physical meetup, I will try and hook it up on the ONU. Okay, but no promise. Okay, don't hold me to it. Okay, no promise. I'll try to hook it up on ONU. I'm still making some arrangement, pulling some strings, and patting on some backs to get it done. All right. Do keep a lookout. There'll of course be, as usual, limited seats available, limited space and limited seats available. Okay, I can't cater to 100 people to come in and see the thing. Okay. Right. Anything else to add, Tim?
No, I think we've covered it for today. If there are any other further questions, really the EFG, in my experience in testing, it's been a thrill. Actually, it's surpassed all the expectations that we had for this product, right? I'm not employed by Unify. I'm just basically a user that.
I'm also not employed by Unify.
That
Okay.
have an advanced privilege to test this. Really, just test it and whack it in all areas to make sure it's robust enough to be deployed. It is deployed in my organization. There are plans to deploy it globally, and we're really looking forward to getting all the advanced features, including that new sandbox that's coming in.
Yes. Okay. For Tim's experience, he's pretty much a. Can I see the brand? Sophos, the Sophos guy. Okay, and trust me, the units that he play with on Sophos they are the pretty big giants and monsters. And even then, he is very, very impressed with the EFG, and he has as an end user within his organization has always been on firewalls, and he does know his stuff and what he's talking about. For randomized MAC ID, yeah, I think it's still very much traceable. Let's try and now see how. Okay, come meet up.
Yeah, there are ways to.
Yeah,
there are ways
let's
to
come
get
meet up
more,
and then we can show it to you.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Okay, right. So on to my very, very last thing. Okay, last 1 minute due to the lag. We'll just wait for a while. If you have any more questions, just feel free to post it. We will still be here. Otherwise, we would like to say have a good night. Thank you very much for attending. Do look forward to our next session, and as much as we would like to cover as many things as we can. Okay. Thank you all the attendees from the other countries. I saw quite a few of them. Do appreciate your time, and hope to hook up with you guys when I fly over. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye bye.